Hey, St. Joseph. Bet you're wondering what I'm doing here. Well, I have this toast. Am I kid? Oh, sorry. Hey kids, welcome to week 2 of Totus Tuus. I'm here at St. Matthew's Church in Champaign. Shampoo Banana, as some kids like to call it because it's Champaign-Urbana. I'm Chase Stevens. I'm a seminarian for the Diocese of Peoria, and I probably had some of you last summer for Totus Tuus in person. Know that I really miss you, and I wish that we could have all this in person to stay safe and continue to be together. We're going to have an online presence. I'm here to talk to you about the mountains. Maybe some of you saw Father Hepner's and I video on Pier Giorgio.
Hey Chase, what are you doing up here?
This Totus Tuus theme that we have going on is Versallo Alto, to the heights, right? It's an Italian phrase that means to the heights. We go up, we ascend mountains, and we know mountains are places that we encounter God. So today we are going to spend a little time in the mountains. Two really important things about the mountains from the Old Testament and the New Testament. In the Old Testament, we remember Moses, right? Who led the Israelites out of slavery into the desert. While they were in the desert, the Israelites, they became really impatient with God. They stopped trusting in God, even though He had just delivered them from slavery in Egypt. He even parted the Red Sea, swallowed Pharaoh's armies and everything. Moses was commanded by God to go up to Mount Sinai, where we know in the mountains you speak and you listen to God. So he went up there for a few days to speak and listen, and he was given the 10 Commandments. So today, I'm going to be talking to you about the First Commandment, and then the other parallel in the New Testament of those stories is that the apostles, there was a scene in the Gospels where they're on a mountain and they're receiving, it's called the Sermon on the Mount. So they're receiving the 8 Beatitudes. In the Beatitudes, Jesus teaches us how we live happy lives. So we have the 10 Commandments in the Old Testament, which is the rules of how we relate to God and how we relate to others, how we love them. And then the 8 Beatitudes, they reveal to us about ourselves how we become happy and we live happy lives. So, I'm going to talk to you about the first of the 10 Commandments today. I'm also going to talk to you about the First Beatitude, and then I'm going to tell you and show you how we live happy lives when we fulfill both those, just the First Commandment and the First Beatitude. Okay, so, are you ready? St. Joseph's ready. I'm pretty sure. I mean, he looks, okay, really ready. So, I'm just going to go for it. Action. The first commandment is, I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other strange gods besides me. Now, I think when we hear that, we're like, what does that even mean? Of course there's no other gods besides the Lord our God, right? The Holy Trinity. And that totally makes sense. But what this commandment is saying it's saying that it's easy for us to substitute things for God. So that may be sports, video games, playing with friends, whatever that looks like, if it's superstitions or if it's false idols. So for the Israelites, I'll talk about the Israelites and I'll talk about us. The Israelites had this golden calf that they made out of gold, and they worshipped it, and what they did was they took God out of his rightful place, is what he deserves. He deserves to be loved above all things because he is our God. So they took God, placed him at the bottom of the list, and took this golden calf and replaced it for God, which doesn't make any sense because a golden calf cannot hear your prayers. A golden calf is made by human hands, and God was not made by human hands. And God can hear our prayers. So you see what they're doing? They're taking God and they're substituting him for another thing. Missing Sunday Mass for a sporting event, that would be taking the sports and placing them above God. You know, sports are important, and they're good, and they're fun, and they should be. They're given to us by God. But they need to be ordered correctly. Just like video games. Video games are fun. I like video games too, guys. But we cannot substitute playing video games for time in prayer, spending time with God. Because what we need to do is we need to look at the things in our lives that are of the most importance, okay? So God, our families, and others whom we love, and then ourselves, and then, video games, sports, etc., etc. Other things come after. So an important thing to remember is that we shouldn't place anything above our God. We shouldn't place anything above our relationship with him is the real thing. Like, we don't need to compromise things in our life. We need to order them around Jesus, not order Jesus around the things that we do. Things, material things, they're good. They're created by God and they're given to us for purposes, but they can't love us back. I love the game of hockey, and I play hockey, and when I get a new stick, I'm excited about having a new stick. But I shouldn't be overly pouring myself into having this new stick, and I'm all about this and this and that and this stick. The game of hockey, it's enjoyable, but it's not God, and I shouldn't make it God. When we substitute things for God, we actually hurt our relationship with Him and our relationship with others. When we get to heaven, guys, you're not going to have video games in heaven. You're not going to have sports in heaven. You know what you're going to have? You're going to have Jesus Christ, and that's going to be enough. You're going to be spending all your time with the one who loves you and gives you life, and you can just reciprocate that. You pour yourself back into the Lord, and you spend time with Him, and we will see Him face to face after this life, which is a great reality that we all get to share. If we live by the commandment, the first commandment, if we order Him as the first thing in our lives and let everything follow after that. Now I'm going to be teaching you about the first beatitude. And the first beatitude is, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now let me retranslate, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. All right? How about we say, blessed or happy are they who are not attached to material things and have not placed what money can buy at the center of our concern. Does that make sense? We haven't placed material things that we can buy or obtain or have as our top priority. I always find nuns simply amazing, and religious orders who take the vow of poverty and chastity and obedience, and in a sense, all three of those things are just, we're not reaching to material goods and attaching ourselves to them, right? We're saying we can use these goods, but we're going to love Jesus Christ and others that He's given us. Practical application of this, guys. Let's say you're playing a lot of video games, which once again, I said video games are extremely fun, but you kind of stirs in your heart, maybe I should pray, or maybe I play video games too much that I get tired and I just go to bed right after I turn off my Xbox or PS4 or whatever. Maybe that's Jesus tugging on your heartstrings saying, come be with me, come pray with me, and I will show you really what will give you life, and I will show you how much I love you. We really have to listen to the voice of Jesus in Scripture, in our own hearts. If you feel something stir in your heart that says, maybe I should pray, that's the voice of Jesus, so follow it. I just want you in those moments to calm yourself down and say, okay, what am I doing right now? Where is my focus? Where is my attention? I know Jesus is present to me. I know He loves me. And maybe I need to be with Him right now. We really, really need to go to places where we can listen to Jesus, where they're quiet. And so the center of our hearts and our souls is a place that's very quiet if we go there and we listen to Jesus. By living that, we begin to live heaven here on earth. And every time you come to Mass, every time you come to a chapel, this place is supposed to be a glimpse of heaven. And when Mass is occurring, heaven does come down, and we're brought into the mystical union that is the church in heaven and the church here on earth, and we're together. And so when we live these things in our daily lives, when we live the First Commandment, when we live the First Beatitude, we start to live heaven in our hearts. Because Jesus wants you to start living heaven now. Why wait? He wants to give us all good things, right? And we know that. He's our Father. He wants to give us good things, okay? And He wants to give us heaven right now. And it's possible. We can actually do that, guys, which is really beautiful. These commandments and these Beatitudes, we should never, ever just assume that we can do this. So I want you to pray and ask Jesus for the grace to help you live this out. And be patient, right? You cannot do this overnight. This is not something that happens like that. We do not live in microwaves, guys. We don't hit 30 seconds and our food's ready. We live a long life. Pray for the grace to say, Lord Jesus, I desire to love you above all things. I desire to live poor in spirit in my heart so that I can place you before the material goods of the world, and that I can bring myself in relationship closer to you, and I can bring others in closer relationship to you, but only by your grace, Jesus. Only by your grace and only by your love can I do these things. So don't forget to ask for help, right? I'm standing next to St. Joseph. He's in heaven, right? Okay, he can hear your prayer. So do not forget to pray for the grace to live this life according to the First Commandment and according to the First Beatitude, okay? God bless. Bye now.